Hey YouTube, Ed here with Jack of All Trades, and welcome to another video. So what are we going to talk about today? Today we are going to talk about the Tisa 1911 A1 Service Special 45 pistol. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. And welcome back. So yes, we're going to talk about the Tisa 1911 A1 Service Special 45 automatic pistol. But before we do, I got to ask you to go down. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you ring that notification bell so you get notified of upcoming videos. And let me know if you like these kind of videos. YouTube algorithms aren't real friendly to gun reviews and things like that. So let's go ahead and tell YouTube that you want more videos like this by hitting the like and subscribe button. And then hit me up with those comments. If you like what you see in here, tell me so in the comments. If you got suggestions for me, please do so in the comments, and I will certainly try to get that done. So what have we got here? We've got the Tisa 1911 A1 Service Special, and it's chambered in 45 automatic, 45 ACP, as are these other two here. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of compare the Tisa, which would be considered more of a low-end model pistol, and we're going to compare it to a mid-range, which is my Taurus 1911. You've seen me do a video on that before, as well as I've got a Sig Sauer 1911 that I picked up when I was on duty in Iraq. Sig Sauer had a program going, a military law enforcement program, and they put our unit patch and our logo and our motto and things like that on there, and it was just kind of a neat little deal. So I've got these three pistols kind of going from high end to medium to low end, and we're going to kind of do a little bit of a comparison of them. And I'm going to let you know what I think primarily of the Tisa when you compare it to these other two firearms. All right, so we're here talking about the Tisa. Let's go ahead and let's move the Sig, and we'll move the Taurus off to the side a little bit, and we'll focus on the Tisa a little bit. Now, as always, anytime we're working with a firearm and dealing with firearms, we want to verify that the firearm is in fact empty. And it is. There is no ammunition in the magazine. I don't even have any ammunition for the gun on the table. Okay, a little bit about this gun. So this gun is a 1911 45 ACP. The slide and the receiver are forged carbon steel, and the barrel is a 5-inch forged machine barrel with button-pulled rifling in it. The internals on this gun, the website says they're Colt Series 70 internals. I don't know if that means that they're actually using Colt Series 70 parts on the internals or if they're modeling them after it. What I do know about this gun is everything about it is basically mil spec. The parts are pretty much interchangeable with almost any 1911 mil spec. I would imagine there's some minor differences, but the gun is mil spec. It's Turkish made, imported into the United States. This gun has a 1-year warranty on it with a lifetime service plan. I'm not 100% sure what that lifetime service plan is. It kind of sounds like if you've got a problem with the gun, you can send it back and they will service the gun for its lifetime, and I would imagine that's free. That might be something we have to ask Tisa about. The grips on this are checkered. They are plastic, and in the kit you also get some black grips as well with it. It comes in this case along with all the rest of the various and sundries you get. The gun itself is 2.5 pounds. Every one of these guns comes with a lockable hard case. It comes with 2 magazines, a cleaning kit, which is pretty light. It comes with a trigger lock and an owner's manual. And like I said, inside of the case, you also get 2 spare grips. Now these black grips look like they're just well, they look like they're actually pretty much identical. They're just black. So maybe if you like black grips better, you can put those on, or if you like the brown grips. You get a spare magazine. You do get an eyelet style barrel cleaning rod, and of course you get a barrel brush for cleaning out the barrel. So kind of a nice little kit. They give you pretty much everything you need in this box, which is a lot more than what I can say about some of the more high-end pistol manufacturers out there. They certainly wouldn't have to give you this, but it's a nice touch that they do. Now, some neat little things about this. The magazines are basic mil-spec magazines, and it will take the same magazines as like in my Sig Sauer. They'll fit right in there. I've gone ahead and shot them with these Sig Sauer magazines, and they do work. The magazines that I got with my Taurus 1911 do fit in there. They function and they work. So mil-spec magazines will work in this gun. At least the magazines that I have all worked in this firearm. Just like every other 1911 out there, you've got your thumb style safety and your thumb style slide release. It is not ambidextrous. This is a basic GI styling or GI modeling, if you will. The only real difference that I can tell is the hammer. It does have a ring style hammer on it that is supposedly to help alleviate a little bit of hammer bite so that you don't have some problems with it rather than the spur hammer like the old GI style ones. It does have a slightly extended beaver tail on it, which is kind of nice. It's not the big dished out one like you see on some of the higher end ones, but it is slightly extended. The grip of the gun actually feels real good. When I'm holding the gun in my hand and I'm shooting the gun, I didn't feel like I had any sharp spots or anything like that, anything that was uncomfortable with the gun. The gun was actually very comfortable to shoot. It comes with basic iron sights. They're non-adjustable, your standard GI style iron sights. And the gun is fairly accurate. When I shot this gun, I did notice that it shot a little bit low for me. That's just the way it is for me. For some people, it might shoot just fine. So I had to do basically a 12 o'clock hold to be on target when I was shooting this gun. And I was shooting this gun at 15 yards. So it was a touch on the low side. I just had to hold high. And that's what you get with basic iron sights. Now, I imagine you could probably change these sights out if you wanted to, but it really wasn't a big deal. Once I found out where the gun was shooting, I could go ahead and I could make those adjustments, and I was on target just fine. 2.5 pounds, the weight is about right. For a 1911, the recoil is very, very manageable for a 45 ACP. I found really no reason to not like this gun. The thing that's really nice about this firearm as compared to the other two firearms that I have on the bench here is the price. MSRP, according to the Tisas website, is $450. I just did a quick Google search. I found no less than 2 sites that were selling this firearm for $320. And I happen to know that this gun was $310 when it was purchased. So it's exceedingly affordable. The ammunition I fired out of this, it was basic Winchester range ball ammunition. It wasn't anything fancy. And I did shoot some hollow points out of it, and I had no problem with the gun feeding hollow points. So it did just fine doing that. Now, admittedly, this firearm is not mine. I borrowed it from a friend of mine. Just because I wanted to try it out, and he's got about 250, 300 rounds through it, and he said he's had no problems, no hiccups, no stovepipes, no feeding issues. It operated just fine. And these Turkish-made guns are very affordable. In fact, Tisas' little motto, if you will, is quality at an affordable price. And I can see that with this gun. It shoots really well. It seems to be exceedingly reliable. Now, let's compare it to, let's just say, my Taurus. And just for verification purposes, my Taurus is empty. We are dealing with a safe firearm here as well. I actually like the Tisas checkering just a little bit better than the Taurus. It's a little more aggressive. They both still have plastic grips. They both have a ring style hammer, so they do not have a spur hammer. The Taurus does come with Novak sights, so the sights are just a little bit better in respect to visibility and lineup and things like that, but they're still non-adjustable. So they're kind of, what you get is what you get. You can adjust the windage on both guns just by sliding the rear sight back and forth, but there is no elevation adjustment. And like the Tisas, my Taurus also shoots a bit low. So I have to know that when I'm firing this gun. The Taurus does come with a skeletonized trigger. Otherwise, the guns are basically identical in a lot of forms. One major difference is the Taurus has got some serrations up here on the front, whereas the Tisa does not. They both have rear serrations, although the serrations are slightly different. The Taurus's serrations are a little bit more aggressive. The other thing that the Taurus has got is it's got a very extended beaver tail. And when I've got the hammer cocked, you can see that the hammer is almost completely covered. In fact, there's a little dish out for the hammer to sit in. So it really does a good job of protecting the shooter's hand from the hammer at all times. The only thing really that I can notice differently about the Taurus is that this corner right here of the grip of the Taurus happens to dig into my hand a little bit, which is something I didn't notice with the Tisa. And the Tisa did a really nice job. Tisa has done a really nice job of beveling the rear of this grip so that it doesn't bite me in the hand or poke me in the hand when I'm shooting it. The other thing that the Taurus has got that the Tisa doesn't is its front and rear checkering on the back strap and the forestrap of the grip. The Tisa does not have checkering at all on the front, and it's got some serration in the back. It's not actually checkering, which does help with the grip a little bit, but there is no serration on the front. It is completely smooth. Again, the Taurus has got ambidextrous safeties where the Tisa does not have an ambidextrous safety, but it does only have right-handed slide release, just like the Tisa. So what have we got here? We've got about a $550 pistol, MSRP, compared to a $450 pistol, MSRP. Now, you'll remember in my video, I actually picked this gun up used for $325 from a pawn shop. And so we are talking about a slightly higher quality pistol in a lot of respects. The ambidextrous safety, the Novak sights, the skeletonized trigger, the very extended beaver tail on the Taurus. You've got about $100 worth of extra options when you're considering the Tisa to the Taurus. Otherwise, they're very, very comparable. How they shoot, their form, their function, how reliable they are. Haven't had any problems with my Taurus, and I don't know that we'll have any problems with the Tisa at all. So very good. And the trigger. Let's talk about the triggers a little bit. I can really find no appreciable difference between the Taurus and the Tisa as far as the triggers are concerned. They're both about the same weight. They both have about the same break. They both feel about the same. I really can't say that the Taurus has a better trigger than the Tisa in any way, shape, or form. All right, now let's talk about the Sig Sauer compared to the Tisa. And now we're talking about an $1,100 pistol as opposed to a $450 pistol. And there are some very distinct upgrades when you come into an $1,100 pistol. And most of them are cosmetic, but a lot of it is functionality as well. And we'll try to cover as much of that as possible. Right off the bat, you can notice that the grips are actually wood. They're rosewood grips, whereas the Tisa grips are made of plastic. The checkering is very bold. It's very aggressive. Feels really good in the hand. It obviously has the Sig Sauer logo engraved into it. The grips are most definitely an upgrade in my opinion. Again, we've got front and rear serrations in the grip itself, something the Tisa does not have. Again, we've got the extended beaver tail that completely protects the shooter's hand from the hammer. And again, we are dealing with a completely unloaded firearm, so we are safe. But yes, the hammer is completely covered up by the beaver tail. Safety on this, surprisingly enough, the 1911 does not come, the Sig Sauer does not come with an ambidextrous safety, just like the Tisa. The Taurus actually has an ambidextrous safety on it. Again, it's only got right-handed slide release on it. It's forged steel slide, forged steel frame. Where you really notice the difference with the Sig Sauer as compared to both the Taurus and the Tisa is in the smoothness of the action. The Sig Sauer 1911 is exceedingly smooth. This thing is like glass compared to either the Tisa or the Taurus. This thing is actually smooth as butter. The other part that you'll really notice is the trigger itself. The Taurus or the Sig Sauer has got a much nicer trigger. It's much lighter than either the Taurus or the Tisa, and it's got a much crisper break. But when you're paying $1,100 for a pistol, you would expect things like that. The Taurus also has some adjustability to the sights. It is not elevation adjustable, but it is very easily windage adjustable in that it's got an Allen screw in here that you can loosen up, and you can very easily adjust the windage on this gun. But where the real quality differences and where the real upgrade differences are between your $1,100 and your $500 and $400 pistols is in how smooth the action is and how well it works. So this is really not giving it a very fair comparison, because you're paying you're paying more than double for something like a Sig Sauer, and when you do that, you are expecting a certain level of quality. So at the end of the day, how do I like the Tisa? I actually really like the Tisa a lot. It shoots very nice. It's very functional. It's very reliable, and it's much easier to afford than especially the Sig Sauer. Now, why would you want to buy a $350 to a $400 1911 pistol? Well, for the same reason I bought this Taurus. I don't want to take my really nice Sig Sauer out into the woods when I'm ATV riding or anything like that as bear or wolf protection or anything like that, because it's going to get used up. It's going to get beat up. It's going to get scratched up. And that's a very nice handgun. And though I like shooting it a lot and it's exceedingly accurate and it makes me look like a good pistol shot, I don't want to beat it up. But this gun, I have no problem whatsoever throwing a gun like this in a holster and using it as a meat and potatoes usable firearm. You could use this as a truck gun, a glove box gun. You could even use it as a home defense or a home protection gun, because the reliability, it's got that classic 1911 reliability. 1911s just seem to always function. Now, they do have some downsides. A magazine capacity. The 1911 will only hold 7 or 8 rounds unless you get the extended magazines. If you're going with the standard capacity, it's either 7+1 or 8+1. My Sig Sauer mags are 8+1. Standard mil-spec magazines are 7+1. So you've got some very nice affordability. You aren't going to feel bad about going to the range or taking this out in the woods and actually using it. If it gets a little dirty, or if you end up in a mud pit or something like that when you're ATV riding, it's not a big deal, because you're taking your $450 pistol and you're using it like it's intended to be. It's a tool. It's intended to be used. And its functionality, its reliability, and its accuracy are all very, very adequate for using it as something like personal protection in the woods, personal protection in your home, things of that effect. I would have no problem doing that with this pistol. At the end of the day, I would trust it and use it as a personal defense firearm. This Taurus goes with me in the woods every time I go in the woods, either picking blueberries or picking mushrooms or just out riding an ATV. At least I have some kind of protection while I'm off of my machine, while I'm out in the woods. And where I do a lot of my ATV riding, there are bears and wolves and things, and grant you, the chances of one of those animals actually needing to be addressed are pretty slim. They will just as soon pass you by as anything else. But you never know when you're going to get between that mama and her cubs by accident, and a mama bear and her cubs can get pretty aggressive. So at the end of the day, what do I think about the Tisa? I think it's a very functional and very usable firearm, and I would have absolutely no problem whatsoever putting a firearm like this in my collection. And if you can get it at a price point of $310 or even $320, it's well worth it, in my opinion. If nothing else, it's a good practice gun to just take it to the range and practice with it. Shoot it. Put a bunch of rounds through it. Use it up. You just shoot the darn thing, and you won't feel bad about getting it dirty or getting it scratched or actually getting it used or getting it wet or anything like that. And just like any other firearm, I think if you take care of it, it will take care of you. And considering what you get with the gun, with the hard case, the cleaning kit, the extra magazine, you actually get 2 magazines with this, which I know a lot of times is not the case. I think it's a very good bargain at $320 or even $350 to go ahead and pick one of these up and put it in your collection. And there you have it, the Tisa 1911 A1 Service Special. I give it a double thumbs up. Considering the price, the functionality, the reliability, and the accuracy of the firearm, I would have no problem whatsoever putting that in my collection, and I would think that you would probably want to do the same. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Now, as always, I'd like to thank my longtime subscribers, all of the people who'd watched for the first time today. Please do me that solid of going down and hitting that like and subscribe button. It really does help the channel out in the long run, and it's the only way I ever ask you for support. Also, hit me up in those comments. Let me know if you like these kind of videos, and I will certainly try to do more of them. With that, this is Ed from Jack of All Trades. As always, thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next video.